Hey, everybody, welcome to the Blue Collar Built Podcast, a show about two brothers who are sharing their experiences or going through it. Well, as you can tell, we're trying something new this week. We got video. You're live with us in the little studio in the basement here. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm your host, John, joined by my co host and youngest brother, Jake.
Yes, sir.
So, this is a new experience for us.
It is. We're working through stuff.
We've literally just spent the last 2 hours kind of putting this together, so we're going to keep working on it as we go.
Yeah, it'll hopefully get better.
Yeah.
We'll see how this one turns out and then go from there.
Yeah, this will be the first experience. The audio's not going to really be any different. We're still going to tell our story as it is, and we just wanted to be more personal with everybody.
Yeah, a little bit more authentic.
Yeah, so you can kind of see who we are, how we act, body language as we're talking.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. We're going to keep going with this now each week, and hopefully it'll turn out well.
Yeah.
So we're starting work next week.
Yes, sir. Finally.
Mm-hmm. So little ahead of schedule from, I think, what the doctors wanted me to, but I'm not going to kill myself.
How are you feeling?
I'm doing good. Feeling a lot better. I went back and, like I was telling you earlier this week, found out that I ended up having a yeast infection from the antibiotics I was taking previously, which was crazy to me.
Yeah, that is crazy. When you told me that, I was like looking up. I'm like, this doesn't make, I don't know how you got this.
Well, so not to drag on about this, but essentially what happens is, most people think like yeast infection, females, and it's possible. But all that really means is there's a specific virus or bacteria in your body, and it's called Candida, and it's a Candida overgrowth. And what happens is anytime you take too many antibiotics, because they wipe out the bacteria in your body along with whatever illness you're dealing with, as long as it's bacteria illness, that one particular bacteria starts to overgrow in your body, and in large amounts it starts taking over and won't allow the good bacteria to do what it needs to do. You start developing like a white tongue. It's called oral thrush. It's like these little white patches. I mean, it literally look like, if you've ever seen yeast grow, it looks similar to that. It's very disgusting.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So I noticed some of that on my tongue, and then, like I said, it kind of started spreading to other places, and
well, hopefully
I was like,
this is
something's not right.
So that going to the doctor, you'll probably have to go back now.
I shouldn't have to go back. I have to go back for like my post-op
checkup,
that's
what I meant.
Yeah. But other than that, no, everything should be good. They got me on an antifungal that'll wipe out the bacteria that's causing the overgrowth, and hopefully we can go from there.
So we'll see when you're done with this yeast infection and all that stuff, how you're feeling.
Yeah, because that's one of the hardest things is, people ask me every day, and it's like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? And it's like, I can tell now, because this will be day 3 on the antifungal.
Yeah.
I'm feeling better, but I'm not, like, I'm functional. I don't feel like I just need to like sit around, because as soon as I start doing something, I start getting lightheaded. I don't feel well. That's how it was before.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, I'm doing better. And there were some other things, like I would have increased heart rate and stuff like that. Like typically when you feel the kind of stuff you feel when you feel sick.
Yeah.
And if I haven't said it before, I'll say it right now. Superman has his kryptonite. I have the common cold. You give me a common cold, I'm a little bitch about it. Like I don't, when something's going on inside of me, it's hard for me to be comfortable. I mean, nobody's comfortable when they're sick, but I'm not.
Yeah, being sick fucking sucks, dude.
And it's because I'm not the kind of person who can sit.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it comes from. So then I sit there and then I worry about what's going on inside of me, instead of just, going through the process of getting over it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one thing, especially this week, that I kind of had to tell myself, like, especially in today's age of technology, you kind of go down the rabbit hole of looking up your symptoms, and that
Yeah, no, I
never
do that all the time.
it
I'll feel
never ends up
just
good.
something random. I'll just feel something, like whether it's in my arm, my chest, or my legs. I'm like, what's that? And then I'll go look up like pain in my legs or pain and then it's like a whole list of things it could be, and then I start freaking out a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I had
I
to
have that too.
finally. There were a couple times like this week where like I just plugged my phone in the room because I'm like I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like when I was kind of feeling more sick. Your control is down when you're sick. Like if
Yeah.
you ever, not that I'm saying get sick so you can build discipline, but a good way, like when you're sick and you want to do certain things like that, like we're more prone to eating bad when we don't feel good because you're just like, I want
100%.
comfort. I want comfort right now. My body doesn't feel good. But you still should be doing the right things, drinking plenty of water, eating healthy, and getting rest. And
Yeah. You'll probably get healthier faster that way.
right.
Maybe not by like days or anything, but
Yeah.
you're
But
putting shit in, your body's probably not gonna
yeah,
accept it.
next time you get sick, see if you notice your inhibitions go down quite a bit. I bet you will. You just don't notice it. But anyways, back to
Work this
work.
week.
Yes.
Finally.
Finally.
We're starting tomorrow, right?
Yes. Well, I'm gonna.
You ordered concrete for Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually start today. I got to go down and block off because we're working in a little strip mall area, so I got to block off like the parking spots we're gonna be working because I don't want people parking there. So I'm gonna kind of get a head start on that and hopefully snap some lines and whatnot, so I can get you and the old man going while I'm picking stuff up for the project, like
Yeah.
breakers and rebar and that kind of stuff.
Heck
So
yeah.
I'm just excited to be going out.
So is he just gonna be? Sorry, just a tangent here. Is he gonna be rolling with us or like what?
Yeah, we had a good conversation because he came down. I was working on the little shift lever on the dump truck the other day. I told
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
which you're gonna love that.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
he is going to work as much as we need him, / as much as he wants to.
Okay.
So we did kind of have a really good conversation about expectations of what it is. He's still gonna go do stuff with, Jeff,
Yeah.
who's a
It
guy
sounds like
he
he had
works
like
with.
some side
Yeah,
stuff he was gonna do too.
but
Maybe.
but yeah, he's pretty much just, yeah, let's do it. And
Heck
then
yeah.
when you need me, if there's money in the jobs for the extra labor and stuff, and because that's kind of where I was at. I finally just said, listen, I need to know kind of what the game plan is for moving forward, just as any business person does. Just because it happens to be our dad who wants to come work with us, it's anytime you're bringing on a new employee or you need to expand, you have to kind of have that. You need to know. You can't just leave it up into limbo.
Yeah.
So when you're bidding work, you're going to have that extra labor in there. So there's got to be some compensation in there for that. Or it can be the same. You just need to understand how much shorter. It's kind of like when I took you on last year. I was able to actually be even more competitive because we could get stuff done faster, which meant I was still making the same amount of money or profit per job. I was making less, but we were getting them done faster, so we were doing more,
Right.
and it'll be the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually how it works, but you have to know how to balance those kind of things. So, but yeah, this whole like thing with being sick, having surgery, doing all that has put me in a weird position. It's been a while since I've been um down this long, and I feel like I'm like starting over again, which I am, and it's good because I'm actually really excited about it. Which is kind of what I want to talk about this week. And this tends to happen winter after winter. You get it's not fun and we don't like it, but you get used to not being, you know, 60, 70, 80 hours a week doing all this stuff to keeping yourself busy and then jumping right back into that, I'm going to go from this last week, I hardly didn't do anything because I've been trying to rest, to next week, figuring out how to do the job we're going to start on Monday. I want to get another one in. We got to go help pour those posts up at the school on Thursday. So, my brain's firing back on those kind of cylinders, and it's like there's a part of me that is super excited to get back to work, but then in the back of my mind there's kind of like this reserved, like, okay, am I ready to dive back into that?
Yeah, and you have like a lot of stress that gets transferred over when you start going and back in the swing of things. You're talking. I remember at the end of last season, you're like, I'm just so done with all this.
Right.
But now here we are. You're like, let's fucking jump back into this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally get it too, because that stress weighs on you for 8 months, 9 months out of the year, and you are ready to be done.
Yeah.
But taking a 3-month break, man, this is the first time I've done it, and
it's not fun, is it?
It's good for the start. It's like when we're going back to work right now. Like, I'm super excited to go back to work, but there's gonna be, I don't know how long it's gonna be, but then it's gonna be like, oh, I gotta wake up and go to work this day. It's gonna be hot as fuck out. We're gonna be grinding. There's that side of it too.
Yeah.
I feel like once you get the ball rolling and you're in the thick of it, like the thick of the summer, we're just job after job after job. I'm ready for it.
Right.
Honestly, I am. But we'll see how my body hangs up this year. So
yeah, I think you're gonna do fine. I mean, I'm really excited. The other thing I'm excited about is, because this is your first time and now you've got to experience like the winter blues, going through not really doing anything. Now I have another mind I can bounce ideas off of, as far as what can we do so we don't have that whole extent of time where we're not falling backwards, but we're not moving forward. What can we put our heads together to do to figure that out, so you keep the momentum, right? The idea is to keep the momentum, because then you don't ever fall back into kind of where I'm at right now, where I'm a little bit different story right now, because I have to kind of forcefully be down. But if you can keep the momentum going, then you don't have to have these little start over times. And I'm not starting over, it's just like we were talking, going back and working out, it kind of bummed me out the most, because that's like my release. That's my thing. I'm not like a gym rat. I do it for my mental and physical health. It's what keeps me balanced.
Right.
So, but I know I'm not starting over from where I was. I'm going to jump right back into it. And after a couple weeks of being sore and whatnot, my body's going to, bounce right back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just,
we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
We need something that's like, because like, as I said before, your stress levels were through the fucking roof in November last year. You're like, I'm done. I'm not taking any calls. I'm like,
right.
You remember that? You're just like, I'm
well, but do you
done.
remember how our year ended? It was like we thought we were kind of wrapping it up, and it just kept going. And people were panicking, and they were calling, and it's like,
So we need something in the winter just to like pump the brakes a little bit,
right?
And then just
don't get me wrong.
We'll see.
Part of what I like about what we do and having that time off in the winter is because a lot of that does start to kind of happen around the holidays. And I love the holidays. I really do. And when you have to be that high stressed around the holidays, it's harder to enjoy the holidays.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
So being able to kind of wind things down around the holidays is kind of like a thing for me. It's that, 2 weeks into January that I start getting tingly.
January and February were a bitch, and even March was, because honestly it was the same as February. I didn't really do anything. Not a whole lot of snow. I did snow removal a little bit, but that shit is not my cup of tea, dude. I don't care how much fucking time I have.
I'm using the words "I told you not as I told you so," because that's one of those things you have to experience. But
and I got a snippet of it. I'm not even saying I worked like fucking 24 hours like you did. I did like, my longest day I think was like 12 hours or something maybe even less than that. It might have even been 9 hours.
Right.
But just like the chaoticness of the whole thing,
Yeah.
not knowing how much it's gonna snow, like how long you're gonna be. There's so many unknowns, and I fucking hate it. I
Yeah.
sound like a bitch, but I fucking hate it.
No, and that's just but
Maybe if I was like, and I would never do this, get into snow removal and run the show,
mm-hmm.
because that would be even more stressful. But at least I'm like, I kind of like,
You have more control over it.
yes.
Yeah.
Still, the weather thing, that's why I wouldn't do it, because it's so, you have to buy all this salt. You got to have all your equipment ready. If your equipment's not working, then there's a panic in the air. Like, there's just so many factors.
Yeah, and it's just not it's not the answer, right? It's the Band-Aid
Yeah.
if you get the snow. Like,
Mhm.
there's just too many unknowns to go, oh, I'm just going to do snow removal this winter. Well, that's great, but you're relying on making money based off of the weather.
Yeah.
And it's not, and then again, it's all hours, which with a family is not suitable.
That's why I sound like a bitch, because I have all the time in the world.
Right.
I can wake up whenever and do whatever.
But it's one of those things you have to do it at least once to know, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't just up and say, this is something I do or don't want to do. You got to give it a shot. And you did, and that was great.
Yeah.
But now you have a better idea of, when I talk about that, what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it sounded easier before, but man, one of those times I had to wake up 3 different times in the middle of the night.
Right.
Because they thought it was snowing, and then it stopped, and then it was going to snow later, so might as well go home and wait for all the snow to stop. Like, holy shit, man.
Yeah. So there's definitely other things that we can do. We just have to decide what that is, to do.
Yeah, and I
go
want to
from
like
there.
kind of slightly enjoy it a little bit,
Right. Yeah,
you know?
because at the end of the day, as you stated, we carry that stress 8, 9, 10 months out of the year. We do need that time of
Yeah.
down.
Like I said, we just need to just pump the brakes a little bit and then just start coasting and then ramp it back up.
Right.
As of right now, we're like way up here, and then we're like fucking
Way
down.
down. Yeah, and that's not good.
Yeah.
So we'll keep going. We kind of talked about this earlier because we're a little bit different. So I get these little bit of reserves coming back into the season, or like I was stating, getting back into working out every day and doing that, because I know what I'm capable of, and I know where I'm going to want to push myself to. And so there's always that little voice everybody has in the back of their head that goes, okay, are you really ready for this? Because you know how this is going to go. And then, like, my voice, like me, is like, fuck yeah, I'm ready for this, because I'm done doing what I was doing before, and I would just want to keep going. And so for me, the first 2 weeks is usually probably not a struggle, but that's the hump I got to get over. And then once I'm in the swing of it, then I'm just cruising, because I'm excelling at what I do. What I'm doing to the best of my ability most times.
Yeah.
It's when I have those lulls and then I have to kind of ramp back up that kind of sucks for me. But you were saying it's a little different. Like, you're ready to go.
Yeah. Like, as in working, I lost the tangent there. Were you talking about working out or just working in general?
Just starting and stopping things in general. You can use work.
I'll use work, yeah. Like, I was definitely ready to be done for the season, and it was good, like, taking the months off that I did, but, like, your brain starts, and I've said this to so many people, they're probably just like, oh my God, he's saying this shit again, but it's, like, so true. Like, you go fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my friends are still going out and doing stuff, and I was in basketball, and did pickleball. I had things I was doing during the week, but, like, a Friday night, like, my friends went to Top Golf, and I said I was going to go, but then, like, I was just like, it's not deserving.
Right.
That's not what it is. It's just like, I don't find anything fun.
Yeah, because you have a twinge of, like, depression.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
But yeah, so yeah, for sure.
You know what I
Definitely
mean?
I do. Because
Yeah.
I'm contemplating. I'm not living in the now, because I'm not when you're working and doing hard laboring things, you're not thinking about fucking last week. You're thinking about how your fucking leg hurts and you got to get this block to where it needs to go.
Right.
Whatever it is.
Or you're not thinking about how enjoyable a night at Top Golf is with your friends, because you put in this killer fucking week.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, ramping back up is going to be great. I know it's going to we usually start out slow. I'm not sure what your schedule's got, but it sounds like we're going to be
We're gonna be jumping
last year
right into
I
it.
should rephrase this. Last year we started out slow. We're going to
Yeah.
start probably a project, and then before you can blink your eyes, we're going to be doing a shitload of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna definitely
Oh.
with the lineup that we have now, we're gonna be. I mean, weekends, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff,
It'll
just
be
to get caught up.
yeah, it'll be I'll have to figure it out, but yeah, I'm very excited right now, but I already know it's going to be like, "Oh shit, we're doing this again." And then, but I'm excited for it cuz then I'm going to be enjoying things, right? There's going to be more stress, a different type of stress.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm ready to leave like the thinking about the past, thinking about the future, the depression you just potentially
just
I
sitting
had during the winter.
Yeah, and just sitting there and dealing with
But-
your own minds and
Yeah.
thoughts and how that's my biggest thing because I'm a thinker. So the more like time I don't have with something occupying my thoughts or needing my full attention, that's when I start thinking. Like I go think about this, I think about that, and unfortunately, I had surgery. Parts of my body hurt, so now I'm thinking about what hurts, why it hurts, what's
Yeah.
going on with that,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of just letting the healing process take place.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes. So
That's
like
one thing I try to remind myself just off that little snippet you just said, like your body is resilient. Like
absolutely.
since you're not, I think that's what it is for me during this winter. I didn't do anything to really injure myself, but I have all these fucking injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're worse than they are because I'm not doing anything.
Right, you're paying attention
your
to
body's
them now.
resilient.
Yeah.
It's gonna fix itself for the most part.
Right.
Like, unless there's something major going on.
Yeah, and that'll be something, like I said, as we go, that's just another thing in the back of my mind. Like, okay, this is something that you need to work on because it's not healthy. It's not bettering you by any means. It's hindering you.
Mm-hmm.
So you were talking earlier, you're really excited to get going, but kind of your reserve is how you're going to kind of feel a couple months from now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just like I just know I'm not going to want to wake up and have that spark. It's kind of like going, like you said, it's like going back to the gym. After a while, it's like, you don't want to do this shit.
Right.
You're just doing it.
You know it's good for you, but you're
exactly.
doing it.
But on one hand, my brain's like, well, this sucks. I'm going to work. But then on the weekends or when we have time off, I'm going to really enjoy those moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like way more than having this 3-month break. Those 2 days or day I get off to go Topgolf, golf, do whatever I want, pool day. That day is going to be better than this whole stretch, or seem like better than this whole stretch of 3 months off. Sounds weird.
No, I totally get it.
But I'm going to enjoy that single day because I worked for it.
It's easy to not appreciate it when you have it, right? But when you don't have it, it just tastes that much better.
Mm-hmm.
That's like I was talking to a guy last year, a guy we work with, Jeff, and he's like, there's just something about working on even a half day on a Saturday because it makes Sunday that much better.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Describes it perfectly. Yeah.
Just putting in that little extra work on Saturday, you still get the rest of the afternoon and the Saturday night, but it makes Sunday so much more enjoyable.
It is, yeah.
And I agreed with him. I mean, even somebody like me who likes to consistently stay busy, I thought back and I'm like, that it makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
We have to do these things and push ourselves, and I know we talk about that a lot, but we do it because it does make those times where we finally do give in, okay, I'm taking Sunday off, all day off, because I'm beat from the week. We killed it. I can appreciate that. And I'm going to take Sunday, and I'm just going to enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And then come Monday, I'm right back to busting ass again.
Well, even last year, we worked on a Sunday, and work on Monday felt better. Like it was, I don't know if that's in the context with our conversation, but it was weird because.
Well, and sometimes that's how it is. Like this, you'll find out coming through because like it will be a little different this year. So getting into it, I'm going to want to start slamming as much as we can slam.
Yeah.
Whereas last year I was able to kind of work you in because I was already going, you know.
Yeah.
And this year it's going to be different, and you're probably going to experience these times where we work, 2-3 weeks straight in a row. Sometimes it might be all of April. We might not take a day off. I mean, I'm not saying.
And that day in May is going to be fucking awesome.
Exactly. So, it might sound a little extreme to think, oh my gosh, you're going to actually work 30 days. You know how many times I've done that in my life? Whether it's for this business pouring concrete, I had to do that multiple times for the vape store when we had them. It's just something you just kind of get used to. And it really helps you not take certain things for granted like you do in this dead space of winter that we have. Because then you're just like sitting there and you go, oh, you know how many people would probably like to have 3 months straight in a row off?
They would until they
do it.
Did it.
Yeah. Yep. I know. I get that a lot. And it's funny because a buddy of mine kind of went through the similar thing. He was still working, but it's like their dead season. And with what he does, it essentially just means in order for him to be busy, he just has to sit at his computer and do busy work.
Yeah.
And there's really not a lot of busy work in his industry to do if you don't have things coming in.
Right.
And so it's kind of dead.
I hate that when you have to try to find things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had that when I worked at the zoo. Like, we'd have like 2 hours in a day where it's like you gotta find something to do. Everything's done already that needs to be done today, and you gotta find something to do. I hate that.
Oh yeah, there's nothing.
Absolutely hate that.
To me, it's wasted time.
Yeah, I would go back and like dust something like that hasn't been dusted in a while. It's like, well, okay, is this actually like, is this helping?
Is this
something?
being productive? Right.
Is there something else I can be doing right now?
Yeah. No, and that's a good point because there are a lot of times you can work. What I just said is you can keep yourself busy 30 days in a row.
Yeah.
Fairly easy by just doing stuff, right? But what I'm talking about is actually working forward, achieving things, not just finding something to do it. But because if you don't, then take that time because you might not have the opportunity, especially if you're somebody who's starting a business or, starting a new job that you're not familiar with. Maybe you're starting to work out and you're getting really excited about it and you don't want to lose the momentum. So you go, okay, I'm going to go 30 days straight in a row, or eating, or maybe you're giving up a bad habit, or whatever that time frame is for you. Take the wins when you get them.
Yeah.
Don't over celebrate. Like I said, take Sunday, but then Monday get right back to it.
Yeah.
And hit it just as hard. Unless you're somebody like me and you just want to keep going. Because when I lose momentum, that's where I seem to fall.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's common for most people.
But I've done it enough. I've done it enough now that I don't need these big grandiose things to get my momentum going again. I just flip the switch, right?
Yeah.
I just walk back into the gym and start going.
Mm-hmm.
I show up on the job site, just start doing the things. And that's another thing that I think is important for us to touch on right now is sometimes we can overthink ourselves into not doing certain things, right? Because we have to have these big motivational feelings, right, to get going. Well, that's not sustainable. That motivational thing's not always going to be there for you to get going. It needs to just be as something as walking through the door of the gym or getting on the equipment, the piece of equipment that you need to get, and just doing it one step forward, just little bit, showing up to the job for the first day, getting going,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that also correlates with, starting a new job or a new position. You're not going to know what you're going to do.
Yeah, there's not a roadmap. Like, sometimes you're in the dark, and that's where that fear comes in, and you second guess yourself.
Absolutely. Don't overthink the stuff. Just if you've had a moment of lull and you're starting something new, just jump right into it and just keep going.
But you're absolutely right. It does help to have done it before, because if you haven't been to the gym in a while, you have that initial momentum for 1 week, 2 weeks, maybe even a month. But at some point, you're going to get into a rhythm where it's just like second nature.
Mm-hmm.
And then even further past the second nature part, you're going to hit a part where it's like, well, shit's getting boring,
Right.
right? You're not in a rhythm anymore. And then you have to get back up into that rhythm.
Yep.
I've had that a ton.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's always going to be starts and stops in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to keep the momentum going as long as you can in between those and minimize those stop
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. And
You
know
know?
when to stop too.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
Oh, absolutely. You know,
Or take a break, not just stop. Take a break.
Yeah, I've definitely, that's something in this last year that I've learned quite a bit is, you know, I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing, but I also need to know when to give myself a little grace
Mm-hmm.
because I do tend to overdo it sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay. Just making sure that's clear.
But I do. I mean, and that's a thing of mine, and it's and the shitty part in my mind is it's not necessarily for. I mean, it in my mind I overdo it sometimes because I'm trying to get ahead on a job or, you know,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
something. For me, it's generally work. I understand that. I get it. Um, but I do it, you know, to make a customer happy or get more hours in the week for us for work or get, you know, it's not because it's something that I'm actually trying to do for myself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're trying to make other people's lives easier if I got that right.
Yes, essentially. And I
Mhm.
end up because I don't for me, I don't mind the sacrifice. It doesn't bother me.
Mhm.
Like it's just another day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it makes you feel good too. I'm
it
sure.
does. And
I'm sure.
that's what's rewarding,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
why I keep doing it.
Mhm.
So that's been good. Well, that's all I got this week. You got anything else?
No.
Hopefully
I'll have
everybody
to keep working on the camera switches.
Yeah.
We'll see how it looks, but I mean it's looking fine right now.
Okay,
So.
good. Yeah, we'll keep critiquing the video and
Yeah.
we'll get it down. We appreciate you watching and listening this week.
Yeah.
And as always, share the show, reach out to us on Facebook and Instagram at the Blue Collar Built Podcast, and we will catch you next week.
Peace.